had to take a couple of days off. Today I had my last wisdom tooth pulled, and I'm finally feeling a little bit better, but I'm still continuing on my personal healing journey because this is what works for me. And so everyone has the option of not watching it. I would like to say that. I think that there's so many people that don't understand and don't know all the things that I have hidden, what I've been through, what I know, what I've experienced. Everybody was in their own world. And so this is my way of finally releasing things that I need to, because it affects my life. And so if it's not for you and you don't want to hear it, you can scroll. You can block me. You don't have to hear any of it. But this I'm doing for me. And I spent a lot of years doing everything for everybody else. But I'm doing this for me now. And if you don't like it, back to my mother's journal. We're on October 11th, 1994. Well, came home from meeting, used my phone last, called Naomi. Eric stopped over and spent the night. It's always nice to see him doing well for himself, and even as has a new girlfriend. Nana's always real happy when any of her children are at home, and it makes me feel good all over to see her that way. P.S. It's like old times. Instead of getting in bed, Eric made it to the sofa and is snoring up a storm. Eric is my uncle. It's actually one of the coolest black-white uncles you've ever seen. I have stories about him, but he was one that was always really different, but I always appreciated and just was always very down to earth. 10/12/1994. Well, this is a day two of my diet, and so far, day two of my diet, and so far so good. I had a wonderful breakfast, which consisted of 1 English muffin, 1 orange, and water. Wow. I'm now going to call someone on my phone. Let's tell you later who the lucky person was. Well, Stacy is the lucky winner of the Talk to Robin sweepstakes. Eric got up, took some of his things home. I really like Eric. I don't know why. He's a cool person. Uncle Eric was a cool spirit. That's why, And I can honestly say over the years, he was one of the most impartial people in the family that I had to really deal with. 10:15. Got up this morning to the sound of Nana in the kitchen. We sat at the table together and ate English muffins. She had coffee and I had tea. I asked her what she had planned. She said nothing. She said she wasn't even going to take her PJs off today. And I know what that feels like. Well, after breakfast, we parted. She went into the back room. She started to read. But that lasted all of 10 minutes. Then she was out like a light. I then went into the living room and I did my workout. Went for a walk, and now I'm sitting down by the pond writing my feelings about myself, which are vastly improving. I'm loving myself. I'm reaching out to people more, being honest with myself and others. As I sit here and watch God's creatures do what they do, I'm really thankful about everything in my life. If I were to find out that I was dying, it would be all right with me, because it's God's will. And today I believe that sitting down by the pond is so relaxing. Watching the weeping willow sway with the wind is like watching a ballerina glide on air. The pond, on the other hand, puts me in the mind of the days when I had become completely still, not moving one way or the other. And the things that live around the pond are the people in my life going on with their day-to-day routines. And there's Robin just stuck. Things about days gone by don't make me sad. They teach me things about myself that I've never took the time out to see. It makes sober days mean so much more. I miss Harry very much, and I wish he were here, for he too needs a rest, to say the least, while I'm leaving the pond. But as I ascend uphill, I notice a yellow butterfly going from one blade of grass to another. I stop to wonder, hey, instead of me being the pond today, I'm that butterfly. Go Robin. That was, this one was really, a really touching and important entry to me, because I too find peace in being near water and watching the stillness. And I never knew that my mother felt like she was still. She was such a fun and exciting person. Everyone loved her. She had so many friends. And it's just so crazy to just keep diving in and going back and reading and seeing. But I relate to this more and more that I read it, because there's plenty of times where I feel stuck and I feel like the world is moving around and I am the still pond. And I remember that pond, and I remember that weeping willow. I used to walk down the gravel road from Nana's house and walk down to that pond, and it was very still. And the only thing that you would see moving was the grass and the weeping willow. So like in reading this, it helps me also relive some of the memories that I may have forgotten that could have been good ones. And the fact that my mother decided on that day, instead of being the still pond, that she was going to be the butterfly that moved, allows me to see that I can also be that. And then giving herself kudos. Go Robin. I just wish that there were more people that knew how she felt and what she was going through, or were more sensitive. My mother was kind of like the black sheep of the family, and I always feel like I became her. I look exactly like my mother. It's weird, I have this picture of her. It's my mom. But that's one of the pictures. And she was either pregnant with me or about to be pregnant with me, but it was the year I was born. So that entry was from 10:15. Let me act like I can see. The next entry was from 10:16. And she said, watching a TV program about Native Americans, people who are part of my heritage, is enlightening, to say the least. It tells of land stolen from them, their fight to save it, and how they were tricked by white Americans and English. Famous quotes. Reverend Albertini, that only with God could we develop the courage to change the unchangeable. Anonymous, what other people think about me is none of my business, but what I think about myself is everything. Martin Luther King, truth dashed to earth shall rise again. What other people think about me is none of my business, but what I think about myself is everything. I'm going to stop there. I don't give a shit anymore about what people think. I don't. And I think that was one of my mother's struggles. She spent so much time being a people pleaser. And she forgot what it was like to make herself happy. This process for me is a process. It's traumatic. I can tell you it's not easy. It's taking me down several different roads, but it's allowing me to face a lot of truths about myself. It's allowing me to connect and relive with some of the memories that, I don't know, I think traumatic memories sometimes make you change what you remember. Or some people, suppress things, or they change how things happen to make themselves feel better. But this is not my handwriting. This book is old. Okay. It's been chewed on. Pages are coming out. I even have like old telephone numbers in here from some of my mom's old friends from group. I have people who have wished her well, and so this is a real peek into my mother's brain. But this anonymous quote that she wrote, I love. And I think that that's something that we all should stand by. What other people think about me is none of my business. But what I think about myself is everything. So going forward, I am going to stand on, I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. This journey that I'm doing is for me. Everyone that is pointing and judging and is upset and doesn't want to hear these things, they didn't have to witness or go through the things that I went through. They didn't have to suppress those things. I did. So I'm going to keep on unleashing it. And I'm going to keep on going through it. And sometimes it's going to make me cry. Sometimes it's not going to make me cry. Sometimes it's going to be eye-opening. But I'm going to keep on going through this, because this journal goes up to the last entry of this journal is April 19th of 2001. And 2001 is when my mother passed. So I'm going to keep on going through this journal because it's helping me get through this time. I don't know that it's something that I'll need later, but I know that it's helping me get through right now. And that's all that matters. And so I just want to leave this with you guys. Don't care about what everybody else thinks. Care about what you think about yourself, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. It's all that matters. And everything else is bullshit. It really is. You're the person that has to look in the mirror every day. You're the person who has to deal with the questions. You're the person who has to move forward or not move forward. You are the person who has to change. And those are the decisions that I made for myself. And with this process, I am paying attention to some of the behaviors that have allowed me to be inconsistent and irresponsible and disconnect. And it also allows me to see and remember just how much stuff I've survived. And I'm still here. Like I said, my mother passed at the age of 38 from a drug overdose. I was the person who identified her body. And we will go further into that later. But when you get older, so many memories get jumbled. You can always realize what was really reality. And A lot of the elders in my family are deceased. Like my mother's deceased, my grandmother's deceased, my grandmother's from my father's side is deceased. The man who raised me, Mark, as my father, he is deceased. My Uncle David is deceased. My Aunt Susan is deceased. And my Aunt Marie is deceased. My great-grandmother is deceased. So, everything that I learned and everything that I can see into, and I am the eldest of my 6 siblings. So, I'm going to be closest to the truth. I'm going to be closest to the understanding. And I'm going to tell you some of this shit hurts, like, fucking hurts. But, I got to get through it. I got to get through it. And I appreciate those people who chime in and listen. I hope I can help and offer something into your life. I hope that, maybe you start your healing journey, however it may be. But this one's mine, and I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. So we're going to end on October 16th of 1994. That's where we're going to stop this. And just remember, what other people think about you doesn't matter, but what you think about yourself is everything. Fuck everybody else.